Hey, let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever heard voices in your head before? Let me make it a little bit easier for you to answer. Maybe you've heard voices in your heart before. Well, today on Things I Love, we're going to talk all about that pivotal scene in The Rise of Skywalker where Rey hears the voices of Jedi's past. No, alone never have you been. So as you can see, we're going to be doing some voices today on Things I Love. Going to be having fun there, talking about that scene in The Rise of Skywalker where Rey hears those voices of the Jedi's past, and it really gives her the energy to rise up and be the Jedi that she was called to be. But if you're new to this channel, just want to let you know that every Friday we come at you with all things Disney and Star Wars and Lego. We get into our fandom there. And then on Tuesdays, we're bringing you the news from the week of those worlds, just kind of keeping you on top of what's going on in the parks and in Star Wars and Lego, and so we want to keep you up to date on that. So we're so glad that you're with us today. Hit that subscribe button down below, hit that bell to be notified of these weekly positive videos, and give us a big thumbs up if you like this video. All right, let's get right into it. Show number 41, all about this really amazing scene in The Rise of Skywalker. And I just want to tell you, this scene really hit home for me. You know, I asked at the beginning of the show, have you ever heard voices in your head or in your heart? And I think that the healthy answer to that is yes. You don't have to go to the doctor and say, I'm having problems, I'm hearing voices in my head. We do hear the voices of the past. This Christmas, I got this gift in the mail from my pawpaw. And, you know, my granddad, my pawpaw, has been gone for many, many years, more than a decade, maybe even more than 2 decades. But I got this in the mail, and it said, from Pawpaw to Mark. And I opened it, and it was his old candy dish. He worked for the depot, he worked for the railroad. He had this candy dish, and every time I would come over to his house, he'd say, go get your piece of candy. And then we'd go pick pecans, and so I can hear the voices of Pawpaw in my head saying these things, and that's a healthy thing. He was a great influence on my life. And so many times in the Bible, God speaks to his people. He speaks to his people. And then, you know, I think of Force ghosts in the Star Wars movies. And, you know, when Jesus is in the Transfiguration and he's showing his disciples, you know, Elijah and Moses show up. And, you know, they've been gone for years. And so I love that this scene in The Rise of Skywalker kind of made me realize kind of my heritage and the voices that I hear in my head and in my heart, and it just helps me. And so that's what I want to get into today is how all of these voices of the Jedi's past helped Rey kind of step into the calling that she's always had. And so yes, we're going to be doing some voices today. They're really going to be bad and not quite accurate, but I'm going to have fun with it. So what I want to do is kind of go through all of these voices that were in that scene, and they kind of come in and out, and sometimes you'll have a voice saying something, and then that same voice will come back later and say something, and we're going to kind of go through all for each character one by one. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to jump in there, and then we're going to talk about some of the cameos. There's so many cameos in The Rise of Skywalker, and I loved every single one of them, but we're going to talk about some of my favorites as soon as we finish talking about these voices. So let's get right into it with the first one. It is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, it's both of them. It's both Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness. You know, they say, these are your final steps, Rey. Rise and take them. Rey, rise. I love it. These are your final steps, Rey. He's just such a incredibly important character in this whole story. And by the way, just came out that Kenobi is going to be on Disney Plus. Looking forward to that. We'll get into that in a future show. And then the next one is Anakin Skywalker. Of course, you've got to have Anakin Skywalker. Rey, bring back the balance, Rey, as I did. The Force surrounds you, Rey. Let it lift you. You know, all these encouraging words. And that's from Anakin, who became Darth Vader. But yes, he brought the balance to the Force, and he's reminding her of that. And then you've got Ahsoka Tano. We're getting into some characters now that you may or may not know. from the Clone Wars animated movie series, and she just says, Rey, Rey. That's probably not the best voice of Ahsoka. I love Ahsoka, how she wields her 2 lightsabers held backwards, and love that. But here's the question about Ahsoka. So we didn't know for sure if Ahsoka was dead or not until this movie, and so now that she was a voice of Jedi's past, I'm thinking that Ahsoka has passed on into the Force. But that's another story for another time. And then you've got Kanan Jarrus from the Rebels TV series. I'm watching that over again now. I love that. That's probably my favorite animated series from Star Wars is the Rebels series. And so Kanan Jarrus, he's Ezra's master. He says, Rey, in the heart of a Jedi lies their strength. Powerful line. In the heart of a Jedi lies their strength. Then you've got Luminara Unduli, seen in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. She's in that battle, both 2 battles from Geonosis and Kashyyyk. You may not know who she is, but with this picture, it might come back to you. Oh yeah, I remember that battle scene on Geonosis. She's also got a speaking role in Clone Wars TV series. It says, the light. Find the light, Rey. Ooh. Love that. Mark, just find the light. You're going through so many struggles right now, but you will make it. Find the light. We need to be reminded that there is light there. Qui-Gon Jinn. Every Jedi who ever lived lives in you. We stand behind you, Rey. Rise. Another bad voice. But I love that line. Every Jedi who ever lived lives in you. We stand behind you, Rey. Think about your heritage. Think about the voice of your grandfather or your grandmother or whoever was important in your life, and the heritage that you have in that family lineage. That's what he's saying right here. Every Jedi who ever lived lives in you. Wow. That I'm sure gave her every bit of strength that she needed. But then we've got Aayla Secura, seen in Revenge of the Sith, main role in the Clone Wars. Let it guide you. Let it guide you. Let the light guide you. And then I love this one, Mace Windu. Tried to defeat the Emperor and was killed by him. Feel the Force flowing through you, Rey. Feel the Force flowing through you, Rey. Giving you that strength to shore you up, to rise. Love it. Adi Gallia, seen in Phantom Menace, main role in the Clone Wars, just simply says, rise, Rey. Rise. And then Yoda, I said this one earlier, love this one quote. No, alone, never have you been. Rise in the Force, Rey. They're right there with us. And then Luke, of course. Rey, the Force will be with you always. And then, of course, Rey rises up and kicks butt. she steps into the calling that she has had all along. And look, I want to tell you right now that you can be an encouragement to somebody, to help them to rise up and to be all that they have been meant to be all along. We need these voices in our head. We need them in our heart. We need them in our lives telling us that we can do it, that we can do it. So no matter what you're going through today, no matter what you've been through, just know that if you received encouragement during that time, that you can be that encouragement for somebody else. We need these voices reminding us. And so that's why this scene is just amazing. I love this scene. And look, there's been some debate about whether or not it should have been actual Force ghosts where you could see them and not just hear their voices. And I get that. That would have been cool. I would have loved that. Maybe even more. But here's the deal. The voices allows for the focus to be on what's happening with Rey. As the camera is focused in on Rey and the struggle that she's having, it allows us to focus on that struggle while hearing all of these voices. And look, the geek in me loves to kind of pick out, oh, that's this and that's that. I just saw it for the second time and I'm about to go back for the third time, hopefully today, and kind of be able to pick out even more where these happen and everything, because the first time I saw it, I could hear the voices, but I couldn't completely make out who they were and when they were and all that until I went back a second time. And look, I love that J.J. Abrams, went there and pulled in some of these other parts of the Star Wars world. The Rebel TV series, the Clone Wars TV series, the prequel films, the original trilogy films. They're all in this scene. And just as I said, I love the battle scene when all the ships come in and you see ships from these various other Star Wars shows as well, and stories and books and things. I love that he went there. He pulled it all in this final film, which I say final because I don't really believe that it's going to be in the Skywalker saga. But I appreciate that he did that, and it really kind of helped me to see the heritage and the lineage of these Jedis. And so loved it, love those voices. And so now I want to just talk a bit about the cameos, some cameos that I loved. There were lots of amazing cameos in this film, and they should, there should be in this final film. They should have some cameos. And so I just want to kind of go through some of my favorites there. My first one is Wedge Antilles. 42 years later, the actor Dennis Lawson reprises his role as a rebel fighter pilot. I love it. I love it that he's able to come back 42 years later, and so many of these actors, are reprising roles from years ago. And so Wedge Antilles, and then Wicket. Look, I loved that that they went there with the Ewoks at the end, and you got Wicket, and now he has kids, and Wicket was played by Warwick Davis originally as a child, and they got Warwick Davis back to play that role again. So I loved that. J.J. Abrams, did you know J.J. was in it? Dio, that new droid that we are introduced to, that's kind of skittish and afraid of everything. That is the voice of JJ, and I can kind of understand why that works, because I'm sure in creating this film he was a little bit anxious all the time too. So that works with Dio. And then you got Snap Wexley. Love Snap Wexley. He's in the Resistance Reborn book as of late. Of course, he's been in many things prior to this film. Kind of a small role that has been made a little bit bigger in this film. He has one of the funniest lines in The Rise of Skywalker, but it's played by one of JJ's oldest friends, Greg Grunberg, and I think that's cool. Just bringing his friend in on this. We bring our friends around the table and we talk about it, and we love it together. Look, that's one of my favorite things, is being able just to go to lunch with somebody who also loves Star Wars and just talk about it forever and get lost in the time and have to realize, we got to get back to work. But I love that, and so I think it's cool that he brought his good friend Greg into that role. All right, Babu Frick. I love Babu Frick. Here's my little friend Babu. Showed you him last week on C-3PO's shoulder. Well, so Babu Frick is played by a voice that you may have heard in Harry Potter films, Moaning Myrtle. Remember Moaning Myrtle from Harry Potter? Well, that's Shirley Henderson, and she plays the voice of Babu Frick. I love that role in Harry Potter, Moaning Myrtle, so I thought that was cool when I found that out. She was Babu Frick. Because Babu Frick, look, is one of my favorite new characters in the whole Star Wars franchise. I just love it. I love him. He's great. And then this one just brought a smile to my face. And I did not notice it the first time, but I was reading about the cameos and went and saw it the second time and really watched for it. But it's the droid shop guy. It's John Williams. John Williams, who arguably really put Star Wars on the map. I mean, if you read about the original trilogy and read about A New Hope, you'll read that that Star Wars was struggling. The Star Wars was struggling, and then John Williams put the music with it, and it just took it to another level. And then we've had his music just ever since, and that's probably going to be the hardest thing for me, and the biggest thing that I'll be mourning moving forward with Star Wars is that we won't have John Williams as a part of it. And I guess that hasn't been officially said, but if the Skywalker saga is done, that was what he did. And anyway, I love John Williams' music, and so I think it's cool that they gave him that. And then you got the random rebel. Just a random rebel in the celebration scene at the very end of the film. You've got this random rebel played by Lin-Manuel Miranda. You know it from Hamilton. That's my guy from Hamilton. Still haven't been able to see Hamilton. Never got a lottery ticket when we lived in New York City. But I love the music from Hamilton, and Into the Heights. My daughter's school did that musical, and so he is this random rebel, and the reason is because he did some of the music for One of the Planets alongside John Williams, and so really cool that they gave him a role, and he looks the part, man. He looks the part, and so a lot of fun there. So that's my favorite cameos amongst so many in this film. Just had a great time kind of picking those out, and I'm going to go back again and check it out and see even more. But look, I loved the voices that helped Rey step into her calling, and so what I would say today is be that voice to somebody. Help somebody step into who they're made to be. You have the power to do that, and you can do that. So in the comments below, I want to hear from you what your favorite voice was in the film, what your favorite cameo was, even your favorite scene, favorite part of the film. Put that in the comments below. Love to hear that from you. And then again, if you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, that bell to be notified of these weekly positive videos, and give us a big thumbs up if you like this video. It really helps us out at YouTube to kind of take it to the next level. And I mentioned on our first show of the year that I am now 1 year in, going to be working towards making this channel monetized and kind of taking it to the next level and continuing to bring you all things Disney, Star Wars, Lego, and keeping it positive. These can be some of the most volatile, divisive fandoms out there, and it's my job and your job to kind of help us, help the world keep it positive and keep it upbeat. And so thank you for being here. This has been Mark Edington, just a bit about me to help you be more you. No, alone never have you been.